From the KDLM studios in Detroit Lakes, it's Hodge Podge with Carol McCarthy, presented by Partnership for Health and now airing on TV3.
Joining me in the studio this morning, I've got the builders of the Throne of Ice, the Polar Fest Throne of Ice, King Isbet's Throne of Ice, and that is going to be the project this year. We had an ice palace last year, and this year we're going to have a throne. And joining me in the studio to tell us a little bit more about how that is going to happen, we've got Hans Gilsdorf, Lance Akers, and Scott Walls in the studio with me this morning. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Well, first of all, Polar Fest is happening now the beginning of February 7th through the 16th. And last weekend, the ice chunks were harvested down at Little Detroit Lake by the pavilion. So that's kind of where we're sitting at right now. And I guess prior to that, the plans were drawn for this wonderful ice throne here. So I've got it right here for people on the radio. You can see it on the radio, or you can see us on Facebook Live right now. But first off, who wants to talk first about this? Hans, did you want to tell us a little bit about the plans for the throne this year as opposed to a palace?
Yeah, so this year, the reason we're doing it this year is there was an ask by the city to do a bigger palace for the 150th. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce that word. But, the city is going to become 150 years in 2021. And so what they came to us last year and they said, would you be willing to do something bigger and better? And of course, we instantly leapt on that. But with it, we thought, well, if we're doing that in 3 years, we better keep practicing and honing our skills a little bit more than last year, which was really just impromptu, organic, making it up as we go. And also, I kind of promised a little 6-year-old girl that King Isbet's throne would come back with the new ice. And so we didn't want to do a palace every year because it would, we didn't want to become redundant and kind of, another palace. But instead, we wanted to do something that's going to be, improving our abilities to harvest our own ice, as well as working with WeCut, who came up this past weekend to harvest the blocks for us. But then to do something where we're honing our skills of how to prepare the blocks, how to light the blocks. We got Jack Davis coming in, who's going to light the blocks in a totally different way than last year, which was kind of wall watchers. This year, we're trying to integrate the LED lights within the ice to light it differently. And then to kind of hone our skills at carving ice. So not only is it, King Isbet's royal throne, which is the throne, some palatial walls, but we're going to do a lot of carving around it. And with Lance Akers here, he's going to really enhance the whole environment to become this royal courtyard is what we're kind of going for with the furniture, the fire, and the bonfires and the ice again, as well as creating a different area north of the pavilion for ice sculpting competitions and snow sculpting.
Okay, so the festivities continue this Polar Fest with a Throne of Ice, King Isbet's Throne of Ice. Hans Gilsdorf, Lance Akers, and Scott Walls in the studio with me this Tuesday morning talking about the building. So we harvested the ice blocks last week. And how many blocks are you going to incorporate in this throne this year as opposed to last year?
We harvested 300 blocks on Saturday, and the majority of them will be used in the Royal Courtyard. We will be using some of them north of the pavilion in the palatial playground to kind of tie things together again, similar to what we did last year. And with the playground, we're going to try to expand everything we did there a little bit more than we had. The snow sculpting last year was one of Miss Danner's art classes came down and did those 4 sculptures. This year, we're going to make it a competition between area high school art classes. So we should have more snow sculptures. And we're trying to get an ice sculpting competition. We've had a couple teams sign up so far. We do have cash prizes. If you're a ice carver, chainsaw carver, please visit our website, iceharvestdl.org, and sign up a team. We'd like to get as many teams as we can, but we need to get them signed up soon because we have to purchase that special ice from a company down in the Twin Cities. But yeah, that's...
Okay. So that's kind of the schedule as far as the ice palace or the ice throne of ice, and the palatial playground is going to unfold between Polar Fest and Polar Fest September 7th through the 16th. So this is going to be up and running essentially the 7th through the 16th for the entire time of Polar Fest. And Lance, you are going to be kind of laying out the whole area. What did you learn from last year? Obviously, you're going to make the playground a little bit bigger. That was it was so much fun. It was a very popular area.
Well, actually, I'm a landscaper, and I'm charged with developing the outer area around the palace area and the throne. Blair Westrom does the playground, and he does a fantastic job with that. This year, we're going to be incorporating some new elements into that, expanding it, making it larger, a little more user-friendly even, and maybe a little bit bigger.
Okay.
So, no, we're going to have a lot of fun with this.
Okay. Well, last year too, you had the area, the chair where people sat in, and the fire areas. So you're going to, so that's going to return. But did you learn anything last year that you're going to work on this year?
We learned a lot. The last year was our learning palace. It was a first attempt figuring out what works, what didn't, how we could improve. We really did learn an awful lot, kind of going into the details. Sitting here on the radio, it's like, yeah, we learned a lot, but it's a lot of things that just, you honestly would take for granted when you first looked at it. It's like, oh, the blocks will go together smoothly. Yeah, they've got a smooth bottom, smooth top. No, they don't. I mean, it's a whole different ballgame when you start putting those together. So equipment usage, manpower utilization, everything, it all comes into it. And, talking about manpower, we need a lot of manpower putting these together because it is an effort. Community-based. We need supporters. We need helpers. It's really going to be quite the project this year again, even though it's on a smaller scale.
All right, Lance Akers, Hans Gilsdorf, and Scott Walls joining me in the studio this morning. We're talking about the King Isbit Throne of Ice in light of the Polar Fest 2019 here in Detroit Lakes. We're going to continue our conversation, maybe share a little more information on how people can volunteer and how many are needed, and maybe more details on the palace itself. We'll return with more Hodge Podge after this.
Now, back to Hodge Podge with Carol McCarthy on KDLM Detroit Lakes.
Welcome back to Hodge Podge this Tuesday, January 8th, 2019. We're back in the studio with folks involved in building the Throne of Ice, the King Isbit Throne of Ice for the Polar Fest this year, which happens February 7th through the 16th. But lots of planning has gone into this Throne of Ice, as we are learning this morning with Hans Gilsdorf, Lance Akers, and Scott Walds. So last year, after the Ice Palace came down, plans for the item this year, the Throne of Ice, kind of started. The planning began, and this isn't just something you, as we heard, come up with in a week and then put it together. It's done. This took a lot of planning, and we're going to hear more about that, especially how this is all going to transpire now that the ice blocks have been harvested as of last weekend, and when do all the building festivities and all that begin? So let's start maybe with a layout of when can we expect to see the first blocks being laid?
Well, the first blocks will be laid, I think we're shooting for January 14th, weather pending. Of course, this is all just Mother Nature dictates what we're able to do and when. Last year, we all remember it was one of the coldest winters on the books, and we were out there every day. And this one, because it's not as big, it's only going to be about maybe 16 feet high. It's like a 3-wall system, a royal courtyard with the throne. It's not going to maybe take as long as you would think for, like, say, a full-size palace, but we're going to be doing a lot more detail and, like I said, laying the lights within the ice. So it's going to take us a little more time. And funny thing, when we harvested the blocks this year, we found that there was a lot of seaweed in a lot of them. So we may have to trim some of the blocks in order to not have seaweed in some of the blocks, but there'll still be lake matter in the ice. But we're going to have the same crew as last year, working and, again, honing our skills. So January 14th is we're going to go in and build up until the kickoff, which is February 7th, the grand lighting ceremony. In the north part of the park area north of the pavilion, Blair Westrom and his group will be doing another, like a luge tubing hill, sledding hill for the kids, We'll be staging area for all the high schools for their snow sculpting competition, as well as getting ready for the ice sculpting competition, which will be the 8th and 9th. And again, we're looking for teams for that. They have to be pre-registered, so there's information on our website at www.aceharvestdl.org that they can find all the information on that. And same for the high schools and all the events that are occurring around our website.
Okay. And so how many people are on your crew to build the palace, actually? So how many people are actually involved, with the bobcats and all the people putting the blocks on?
There's probably 12 to 14.
That's a pretty solid number. When we're doing the actual harvest itself, we've got probably about 25 guys out there working on the ice, men and women putting in their time. When we're actually doing the construction portion of it, during the palace build last year, it was kind of an average of 14 guys out there operating the equipment, the crane operators, skid steer operators, the block layers. This year, it'll probably be a smaller group. It'll be kind of the core group that kind of worked things last year. Like Hans said, we're going to be honing our skills.
Right. And, the amazing thing, this is all volunteer time, too. I mean, you guys are down there from early in the morning till sometimes
it
later
is.
in the
We've been volunteering the whole year. We meet weekly. And like you had alluded to, it's not just we just all of a sudden harvest ice and start making it up. We've been talking for the entire year on this and having meetings weekly.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're talking about the Throne of Ice that's to be built this year in light of Polar Fest, King Isbet's Throne of Ice, and talking to the builders and the ice-scaper, the landscaper involved in putting this all together, and of course the committee that is involved in putting everything together for Polar Fest and the Ice Throne. So it's always a popular event. I mean, we had thousands, tens of thousands of people coming to town last year, and I guess that's expected this year as well because it's now a destination. It's on the map, so to speak, for February 7th through the 16th. So we're going to start the building. Weather permitting, January 14th, and then have it ready for the unveiling. Is there going to be like a little ceremony like last year, a lighting ceremony?
Yeah, there's going to be a grand lighting ceremony on February 7th to kick off Polar Fest, the same as we did last year. And then that's our Thursday. That Friday, then we start getting ready for the ice sculptors to start doing their magic for the competition. And they'll be carving Friday and Saturday for theirs and the judging Saturday night. And then right after that, then we'll start packing the forms for the snow sculptures, and the high school teams will be sculpting on that Wednesday, February the 13th. We'll be doing their snow sculptures. And then again, with the playground, it is going to have the sledding hill again, but we're trying to incorporate more things, tunnels and other things for kids to do, to get out there and embrace the North. That's really what this is all about. We live up here. We love it here. Let's embrace it all year round, not just in the summertime is kind of part of our goal. And like you said, Carol, this is a volunteer effort. It takes a lot of people, and it takes sponsors. I want to thank some of our major sponsors. Midwest Bank and Lakeshore stepped up right away as two of our lead royal sponsors. Malmstrom Electric is also stepped in to be a royal sponsor and did a great job with all the lighting and stuff last year north of the pavilion, and they're going to do that again this year. I also want to thank Team Lab, Pro Resources, and the Busker family for their donations, along with all of our other sponsors that have donated. So with volunteers, we're going to be doing the same thing as we did last year. We're going to have a Royal Guard with teams of people that come for 2-hour shifts just to help make sure everybody's having fun and nobody's doing anything wrong. But mostly just to help inspire fun out there and get people to come down and play. And if you'd like to be part of that volunteer team, again, please go to iceharvestdl.org. We've got all our information right on there for you to sign up. If you'd like to sponsor, there's also a sponsorship form there as well.
All right. We're in the studio this morning with Scott Wells, Hans Gilsdorf, and Lance Akers. They're involved in putting together this Throne of Ice that will be built here for the Polar Fest this year. Polar Fest happening February 7th through the 16th. And, of course, Scott said volunteers are needed. And, that's what makes it great is it is a great community effort. And I did volunteer last year, and it was so much fun volunteering at the palatial playground because on that 2-hour shift, you kind of move around, and it was super cold, so you moved around a little bit more. But you keep moving, and it's a blast just to see those kids who maybe have never had the opportunity to go sliding or sledding, and just to see, and adults were sliding too. So that was a lot of fun to see that happen and be a part of that all. So that's all going to be an undertaking this year again too. So the call is out, and become a volunteer, and just get the word out. You don't have to even be from Detroit Lakes. Get some of your friends to come down too, and take part in this too. So
that was one of the really fun things last year, Carol, with being down there, is you met people from all over the country and actually all over the world. That first weekend of the Ice Palace being up, I remember one of our lead volunteers, Terry Eider, when I came down at the end of the day to ask how it went, he said, "You have no idea." First, he met people from 7 different countries, he said, that day. And then he said if there was 1,000 people there, picking a round number, he said maybe 10 of them were from here. It was really a lot of people from out of town. So you really meet a lot of interesting people being down there as well.
All right. We're talking about the building of the Throne of Ice coming up now in light of Polar Fest, and that will soon be there. And people can start registering as volunteers, today. Online, get the volunteers lined up, because that's always nice as somebody organizing the volunteers to have them lined up. Things do happen, but if you can sign up and get a time or times to volunteer, that's great. So are you going to have, this was a big social media sensation too last year, lots of posts on Facebook, Instagram, and I think that's how the word spread as well, is just the word of mouth and word of social media. So all those opportunities again will exist. Are you going to have a camera down there kind of watching the building of the ice or the ice throne as well?
I believe so. I think we're going to be putting up the streaming camera again, and so people can watch it, because we have a lot of people that are here during the summer, and then during the winter they're gone, and so this would be a chance for them to see what's going on in their community and be a part of it. I have family that come up for the summer, so it's a great example to give them the link, and then they can see what we're doing and see how dumb their brother is, standing outside freezing his rear end off, making something fun out of ice. But again, we're starting to get the word out. We really didn't do a huge kickoff for the ice harvest this year, because it wasn't going to be a very big one. But this year, we encourage people to come out, watch us build the ice, have some fun, and just to get outside and really experience what this is all about, is what winter gives us, this great gift of ice and snow and this type of season. It's the only time you can do it.
It's still pretty cool to see that ice being harvested, the process they go through and how it's cut, and I think that's pretty amazing. So.
Yeah, Becky Mitchell was down there from the museum, and she recorded a lot of it, and she's managing the Ice Harvest DL Facebook page, and I know she put some live video on that Facebook page, and I think she said as of yesterday she already had over 2,500 views onto it. So yes, you're correct. It still does have a large presence on social media. All
right. So I'm sure there will be lots of swag this year too for the Polar Fest. So you can also get that this year too. And we'll talk more about the Polar Fest actually. But we're talking about the Throne of Ice being built here in Detroit Lakes, essentially the same location as the Palace last year. Yes. So you can expect that building on the beach. And we're in the studio with Hans Gilsdorf, Lance Akers, and Scott Walsh, who have helped put this together with a platoon of volunteers as well. And again, get out and see it. And are people going to be able to actually go down and watch you build it like you did last year? You're going to have it kind of portioned off for safety reasons, but nothing stopping people from watching it in action.
Oh no, the fun of it. Same with the ice sculpting competition. For me personally, the best part is actually watching the production, the sculpting of it. And we encourage people to come down, check it out every single day if you can. Come on, drive by, stop by, say hi. And if you have questions, we should be able to answer them for you. But the point of this is it's kind of a community, by the community, for the community project, to where come on down, experience it, see it, watch it. And, this one, it may, it's not going to be as huge as a Palace, but it's going to be more intricate and more, what would you say, intimate in the sense of it's a royal courtyard. So we're going to have the furniture and to more make you feel more inside the ice, hopefully a little bit.
Okay, that sounds great. So the Throne of Ice, let the games begin. And I want to thank Hans Gilsdorf, Lance Akers, and Scott Walsh for coming in and sharing some of that information with us as we head into this new 2019 year and Polar Fest coming up February 7th through the 16th. And thank you, gentlemen, for coming on today.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
And we'll keep us posted on any developments. And that is going to wrap up Hodge Podge for today. I'm Carol McCarthy, KDLM.